They call my coin worthless. It makes all the maxis nervous. They're too brain dead to comprehend. Oh, no reverse to their foot curses. Those names are all flashes. Claim bitcoins for the masses. Wait till the Fed hands back their white paper. And it's all redacted. BTC got a head start. Now salty max is filled with fake heart. They preach immaculate conception while they let Satoshi's vision get trademarked. First movers act like profit, but their gospel's out of date. Bitcoin's a king stuck on the background. And Casper's next move is checkmate. Casper's rising to the top. Yeah, we're breaking through the flood. Bitcoin maxis getting anxious. Drag our name all through the mud. They say there's no second best, but the best second I ever spent was the first time I ever transferred 1,000 for 1,000 of a cent. Scalability supreme. Casper's haunting Freddy Krueger in his dream. Spends his days blocking case. Casper's living in his head rent free. The case keep on replying and the maxi blocks start to get more furious. Every time they crash out harder, another Bitcoiner gets a little curious. Now crowd is going for two. Misleading others from the truth it seems. You probably get a blindfold and blocked when you graduate as Bud University. Filling up his pocket, selling information you can find for free. Reminds me of the other fighters in the exit liquidity scheme. Casper's rising through the top. Here we're breaking through the flood. Bitcoin maxis getting anxious. Drag our name on through the mud. They say there's no second best, but the best second I ever spent was the first time I ever transferred 1,000 for 1,000 of a cent. This funny way, my Kaspa keeps a good black by Adam Bass. I'm like, I already know it's like a coordinated. You can see he just acts like he doesn't see me. He gets 100 cash replies no matter what he's tweeting. Brian Armstrong, while you're listening, we want that free spot listing. Your Coinbase 50 index is a joke, as long as Casper's missing. Tell me, Brian, you just scared of a little speed. When our ZK roll-ups drop, Casper's base layer is all we'll need. Silly peasants who don't get it, we want it inefficient. We got centralized solutions, one big club and you ain't in it. You text the best and we can speak about these achievements. There's no profit in the cure, we sell subscriptions for the treatment. Casper's rising to the top. Yo, we're breaking through the flood. Bitcoin maxis getting anxious. Drag our name on through the mud. They say there's no second best, but the best second I ever spent was the first time I ever transferred 1,000 for 1,000. And like you haven't heard the word, but that'll change. The real ones will emerge, seeking wisdom out the cave. And Nick Sharp, who knows, took 5 years off, now he's backward. And you know his first post was asking questions about the day. Kruger back credit, keep your fund fees and fakery. We're moving on. Casper's blocks are faster than light, and Bitcoin's glory days are gone. From the streets to the chain, with a spark they can't contain. Cas is here to reign, yo, we're changing up the game. Let's see. Good evening, family. Gonna wait for a few more to hop on, and Kara. Hope you guys enjoyed the song. It's my favorite artist that I've discovered here recently, Mr. Ryan Biss, 891488175. Kaspa Rising. Love it. There she is. Cool. Awesome. You got that going?
Yep.
Beautiful. Great to hear. Welcome everybody. Buenas noches. I started
Hello,
off the
hello,
space.
everyone.
I started off the space with playing some music. Casper Rising. Have you heard that song, Kara?
No.
Yeah, yeah. There's his name is Ryan Biss 89148175. So he's got some pretty sick Casper beats out there.
Oh, I've heard of him. Yeah, he uses AI to make some really awesome
Yeah,
music.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just played one of his songs before we got started here. So
Nice.
yeah, I think so. So how was your day, Kara? How you feeling? How we doing?
I'm good. Today's been very positive and got a lot done, and I got dishes done. So it's a good day when you know your kitchen's clean.
Nice. Good stuff. Well, typical Wednesday over here. I started it out with a nice little yoga session with my guy Chip. Powerful session this morning. Feeling good. Been going at it all day. Had some great conversations throughout the day. Spoke with Bishop. He runs the TWT podcast, Tough Wrestling Takes, and he's been on a couple spaces before. I think you know Bishop. He's a great.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
well,
a positive, good person. That's
yeah, he's
great.
good for sure. 100%. Should we get it rolling here?
Yeah, I was just thinking, we have people coming in, and one of the things we want to start off with is telling some personal stories, especially with what's happened recently with this flash crash. And Juan has a story that I think will be a great learning experience for people listening to this stream, whether you're here in the room with us or listening to us later on recording. We hope you'll stick around and listen because this could affect you one day. And Juan has a very unique perspective, and I hope a lot of you will listen to what he has to say and take this to heart. So, Juan, why don't you go ahead and just take the floor and let people know what you experienced this weekend?
Absolutely, I appreciate that, Kara. Yeah, so before I speak, I do want to make something super clear, and this is for people on the call now and listening back. What I share during these calls, it's never advice. It's the way I look at it, and I always share from experience. So uh, these are lessons that I've lived, not lines that I've rehearsed or learned. So my intentions are simple. I just want to shine light on what life has revealed to me. So always take it as my truth, not the truth, because truth to me is something that we each have to uncover for ourselves. So as you listen, reflect, question, and always do your own research before you make any decision that impacts your path. So I want to start off by opening this up with sharing a story. It's a story some of you may be familiar with. It's one that I've heard from several Bitcoiners, and one that made me really comfortable in finally using my Bitcoin as collateral, being able to unlock its value and use it as I saw fit. So the story is called "The Gold in the Ground," and the story goes, once upon a time there was this man who owned a significant amount of gold.
He was so concerned about keeping it safe that he decided to bury it in a secret spot in the ground. So every so often, he would go to that hidden place, dig it up, just look at it, and then bury it again. And he never spent any of it, never traded it, never put it to any productive use. He simply kept it hidden away. Then one day, he went back there to that hiding spot and found out that the gold was gone. Someone had discovered it and stole it. So that man was obviously heartbroken, but a wise neighbor told him that he might as well have never had the gold at all, because after all, if you've never used it and you just hoarded it in the dirt, it didn't really truly enrich his life or anyone else's. So the lesson there is pretty simple. Wealth that is never put to use or shared, it's just as good as lost. So it's a classic reminder that hoarding something valuable without ever putting it to work means that it can slip away and never really benefit you. So that story definitely hit me differently this year. And that obviously is because I lived my own version of it. So I had a good chunk of Bitcoin and I decided to collateralize it through Coinbase. Now, I've been a Coinbase client since 2017. When I got the first coin that I ever had sent to me was Litecoin. I had a client pay me through Litecoin back then. And eventually, not paying attention, I was like, okay, cool, I'll accept it. And then because I had my Coinbase account, and eventually was introduced to Bitcoin, bought Bitcoin for the first, actually was sent some Bitcoin for the first time in 2018. Now back then I definitely didn't get what Bitcoin was, didn't care, didn't, man, I was running a business, just didn't give it time. But having that Bitcoin sit in that account and seeing it fluctuate and eventually explode, that had me put some real money into it heavily. Starting way back, I FOMO'd in at the highs in 2021, and then I put another huge chunk in at the lows in 2022. So I'd been hoarding all of my Bitcoin without selling a single Satoshi since early 2021. Again, when the highs were there. So thinking that I was being smart and hodling, right? That's the narrative. Hodl, put it away, right? It's digital gold. And then finally seeing this uptick in profits through 2024, I thought to myself, well, okay, um, there's this new feature being rolled out on Coinbase. It launched for me. It launched in February of this past year. So I took a look at it. I'm like, man, this is pretty dope, pretty easy. Have some of my Bitcoin. Wow, this is awesome. So let me use it. Let me use it to cover bills. So I felt like I was using my money. I was finally putting my Bitcoin to use, but responsibly. Until it wasn't, right? So I'll tell you how my day unfolded that day, right? So it's Friday. Now I had been getting liquidation warnings, so I was kind of towing with the line, playing with a little fire there, but I was okay. I was like, okay, no, no big deal. I'll just send Bitcoin when I have some time here. So I remember in the morning on Friday, Bitcoin had to have been it was around 120. Now I'll share this. My liquidation amount was at 109, and I'd been obviously follow that, take a look at it, but I wasn't worried. I was like, well, it needed to go to 109 to be. It hadn't Bitcoin hadn't dropped like that not since February. I should be good. So I went about my day as normal. Things going great. Then the afternoon rolls around and it's around 4 o'clock, and I get a notification like the Bitcoin dropped to 114. I'm like, oh shit, I need to send this Bitcoin. So I went in my cold storage and I sent some Bitcoin to Coinbase. Right. And I had a barber's appointment to get my beard all trimmed up. I typically do on Fridays. I get to my car. Um, I'm driving probably less than 5 minutes in, and then I get another notification. And that's when the big drop happened. So that notification said that Bitcoin dropped to 106 or 107. And I remember looking at it and being like, oh, obviously I hadn't checked if my Bitcoin had arrived yet. But my initial reaction was, shit. What I said to myself was, I got robbed, I got robbed, I got robbed. And I was yelling in my car. And after saying that for maybe about a minute, I just sat there and sat back and I thought, no, you used it. You just ended up using it. You know, I borrowed USDC against it, and I paid bills. I used cash, so I used it. I used the Bitcoin. Just that's really what happened. That was the initial insight, and I was still sitting with the gut punch of shit. But I don't have the Bitcoin, and it was a good amount. So I used it, but not in the right way. And I use it to survive, not to create. So I thought to myself, I was like, well, what if I had used that Bitcoin to actually spread sovereignty instead of running it back to the fiat system that I feel enslaves us? And then I remember thinking about the pizza guy's story. I remember thinking about that story. So, everyone laughs about the pizza guy story that sold 10,000 he sent 10,000 Bitcoins for two pizzas because it would be worth what? About 1.1 billion today if he kept it through today, right? And I definitely thought like that for a while, but that transaction happened on May 22nd, 2010, a year and a half after Bitcoin was launched. And that's when it hit me. And I think here's where I and most people are probably missing the point. That transaction was proof of work in motion, proof of belief before number go up. So if no one ever used that Bitcoin, if Bitcoin wasn't being used back then, it would have been just like that gold in the ground, valuable but dead. So what's happened? So again, taking a look at what happened. Eventually then I started to going into the questions. Okay, so what really happened here? Right? I used it. Didn't use it the way I wanted it to though. What can I uncover? What are some of the stories that I've confirmed about Bitcoin and my deep dive over the past year and a half? What are the lessons here? What am I missing? And what is life? This is a deep question that when I get here, it's just I sit with it and I sit in being uncomfortable. But what is life really trying to teach me right now? So I eventually got there. And then that's when the thoughts started flowing. And it's like, I started going through, okay, well, in my opinion, Bitcoin lost its way. It's not peer to peer digital cash. That's not how it's used. Lightning isn't Bitcoin, and any third party run on layer two isn't Bitcoin. I don't want a middleman. That's my choice. Bitcoin's digital gold. That's how it's used as collateralized capital. So for me, Bitcoin transitioned completely during the block size wars. And I highly recommend a book called Hijacking Bitcoin by Roger Ver, which cites a lot of factual information on what was happening at the time. And the book, it just also makes a lot of sense to me and shows us exactly what's unfolding today with Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin had a chance to expand, stay peer-to-peer cash. Instead, it went corporate. That's how I see it. The narrative shifted from freedom to storage, from use to hoard. That's when the forks happened. That's when people started searching for what Bitcoin was meant to be. And then that's where I believe the free market spoke and where Kaspa was birthed. So Jonathan, for example, went on that Vlad podcast, and highly recommend you guys listen to that if you haven't listened to it. But he went indeed. He talked about the experience of what it was like for him to launch Kaspa, right, and the work that went into it. And by the way, that interview by Vlad, that Vlad did, it's the most watched video by far. That podcast has been on for 6 years, and no one even came close to it. Anyways, that's a little side note. But Jonathan did share his origin story. He talked about how so many things could have gone wrong, and what he kind of expected. He expected a disaster, but the free market had other plans. Miners showed up, developers showed up, the community carried the flame. So Cas was fair launch, no VC, no pre-mine, just proof of work. And that gorgeous DAG structure that I love looking. I love looking at my node. Um, and here we are now, right? Kaspa to me became what Bitcoin could have been. It is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system that actually scales, actually decentralizes, and it still honors that proof of work that is very important to the foundation of all of this. So Bitcoin went flat for years too, by the way. I know there's a lot of FUD, a lot of things being talked about. And obviously we had that event last Friday. Um, but Bitcoin at many times in the last 16 years that people thought it was dead. And the same story is playing out again here with Kaspa, but it's just happening faster. So understand that in markets, liquidity dries up, fear rises, politicians manipulate. But the truth doesn't care about cycles. Proof of work just keeps working. So here's what's absolutely clear after not using my Bitcoin the way it was originally intended for. One Kaspa equals one Kaspa. 28.7 billion will ever exist. And right now, today, it can be used peer to peer. But most don't know about it yet. That's why we're here. Bury your gold and it's as good as gone. That's no different than hoarding your Bitcoin or your Kaspa. So don't hide your Kaspa, use it, teach it, spread it, peer to peer. You know, for freedom isn't what you store. It's what you share. And tonight, that's what this blockchain banter is all about.
Wow. I hope you guys are paying attention here because, like Juan said, if you leave your investment and just bury it and hoard it and never use it, you might find it gone and it'll be as good as never having had it. And at the same time, you could risk actually not having it, which is also losing a precious collectible while also getting the value of spending it and using it. And I think that's a really important and personal story, and I'm really thankful that you shared that one.
Yeah, I'm thankful for you because you know you're one of the people that I called after I was processing all this, and you know I shared it with a handful of people a little bit more in detail, and I think that's how things should be, right? When it's something like that, you reach out to your people and that you trust their opinions and their input, and you get their thoughts. But at the end of it, it's you know I've always been somebody that's taken responsibility for anything that comes my way, and that's you know, I always look at the glass half full to begin with. So, you know, I eventually came
When
to a point where I was like, I'm glad it happened to me. It needed to happen to me.
I was impressed with how quickly you rebounded with such a positive outlook considering what happened. I remember thinking, wow, this just happened to you, and you've already gone through the processing of all the different emotions and you've come to acceptance and moving on and feeling positive and recognizing the lessons and the learnings. And that is impressive. I was really impressed.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That goes back to for me, it's 20 years of you know, I'm very fortunate about my situation once I lived with my foster parents, and I've mentioned Lucy. You know who Lucy is. I've talked about her, but I got a good foundation, a night and day foundation from how I grew up to being able to really open up and develop and see things completely differently. And my foster mom, Lucy, has a lot to do with that. So I had good people around me, right, that kind of laid the foundation. And that doesn't mean that I didn't go back to things that are more comfortable or anything like that. But I've definitely always been somebody to I'd rather just face things and look at it. And I think that's just a culmination of never wanting to stay stuck, right? We're not you know, I've said this about money to begin with. I'm like, it's just money. I've been able to attract it my entire life. It's never been a something that hasn't shown up in abundance, and that definitely has a lot to do with my mindset and just how I look at it. Um,
Is there anything you would have changed,
no,
especially when you were driving and you saw that, hey, this margin is coming up, 106,000 is coming up. Did you have any thoughts in that moment
I
of
yeah, I
I
definitely
know
did.
you're thinking of being robbed, but would you have done anything different, or are you at the place where you felt that it did something for you?
Yeah, I think you know just the way I live and the way I see things and how I process. I'm very in the moment. And I think that plays into why I was able to process it as quickly as I did, and eventually get to a point where I just laugh at it, right? It is the biggest chunk of money that I've had switch like that. And that's the way I look at it. I don't look at it like I lost it, because I actually did borrow USDC and I was able to pay bills, and I'll be fine. It's not everything that I have. It's just I did think initially, well, shit, this could literally wreck a lot of people. So fortunately, we have
Yeah.
this platform now that we're able to talk about this. I'm like, okay, this is just a part of my story now. Should I talk about it? And that's what part of the reason why I called you and talked to a handful of other people. Is like, oh, should I? Is this something? And we quickly came to the conclusion that it could benefit people just hearing about it. And what I would say to your question on would I change anything? I think for me, a long time ago, I stopped allowing myself to go back and try to fix things as they come through. I really believe that when you understand that life flows and you're just a part of this big consciousness that's happening, that you experience so much more. And I mean, again, it felt like a gut punch, but I also train pretty hard, with the yoga that I do. I haven't lifted weights in like 3 or 4 months, but I'm gonna get right back into that. But I look at it like that, like all that is training for my life. So when I haven't done this in a while either, but I used to do cold plunge. I did cold plunging for like a year, and I would sit in I had little routines, and all that is training for all these things that come at us in life. So I just feel like I feel like I'm built for this and trained, and have trained my entire life to have these moments come to me. And I stopped asking a long time ago, why did this happen to me? I don't really go there. It really is, okay, what is the universe trying to show me right now? What's the lesson that I that it's trying to teach me?
What lesson would you share with the listeners that are hearing this and maybe wanting to prevent something from like that from happening to them?
I mean, I think everybody's situation is completely different, right? But I would say go to what are your foundational principles and what are you trying to accomplish with within this space, right? I do think a lot of people come into crypto and come into the space because they want to make money, right? And that's understandable given how the fiat system that the fiat system and just the way that's set up, it's very difficult unless you have a lot of cards lined up and it's very difficult in just the way things are set up to make a lot of money. So it's like, okay, let me come over here and put this down, and then you can easily get caught up in the hype here, right? With this project or that project, and it's going to 10x, and then you go back and look at the history, like, oh, and then you try to time it. I mean, I did that for a little bit after I really discovered what Bitcoin was, but it was to try to hoard more Bitcoin. um, I was like, oh, but it was exhausting. Like I probably lasted less than a week. I was like, what am I doing? I'm not a trader. I don't do this. I built businesses and made money another way. Let me actually do things that I'm good at. So I guess to answer your question, I would say people need to really assess why they're here and what they're trying to do. And specifically to Bitcoin and Caspa, those to me, they're wealth preservation tools is what they are. And really studying what money is super important, and the history of money, and then the systems, and then understanding that, again, Bitcoin paved the way. We have an option, we have an opt out of a system that debases our currency, that debases our human energy. And that's what this is, like that's what I've gotten to with what Caspa and Bitcoin bring to the world.
That's really great. I I uh I really appreciate that you're sharing that. I know that you went through a big loss, but you also went through a big learning and you got to experience what you borrowed, and like you said, it was for survival. So from that sense, I just really want to thank you for sharing that and for opening up for everyone here.
Yeah, absolutely, my pleasure. It's felt like it was the right thing to do, given this awesome show that we're now doing, right?
Hmm. If anyone on Vivor or here in the X Space has any questions for Juan on what he has shared, feel free to ask and we can go into that. And if there are no questions, then we'll move on to our next topic. On Vivor or here in the X Space has any questions for Juan? So far, no questions. Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead and move into our next topic. Is there anything else you wanted to share, Juan?
No, we're good to go. So if any questions come up, feel free to, you can even throw it in the chat and whatnot. But I'm happy I was able to shine some light on that.
Love it.
That is all.
Oh,
Oh,
we
we
have
got
someone who's requesting. Let's see. It's Buffalo Theory. I'm trying to approve,
there. He's
or
on. Look,
maybe.
he's on.
Okay. Okay. Did you have any questions for Juan, Buffalo?
No, I didn't. I didn't have any questions. I kind of came in late and didn't get to hear too much. I don't have any questions, but I'm sure you guys will circle back at some point. But I just want to say, hey guys, and I'm glad you're here hosting the Blockchain Banter tonight. I'm glad I can join.
Thank you, Buffalo.
Yeah,
All right.
appreciate
So
you,
the next
Buffalo.
topic, yeah, the next thing that I kind of wanted to bring up was it's something that's not really important in the grand picture of things, but it's something I wanted to share because it's beneath the surface, right? It's a human element of Caspa, which is back in 2015, I started writing a sci-fi fiction novel, and I've published many, many books under different pen names. But this was the first one that was a fiction sci-fi. I've never done anything like that. And I put a lot of my heart, soul, and spirit into it for about 2 years of writing. And at the time, Kaspa didn't exist. And I wrote about Kaspa without Kaspa being a thing. And because we didn't have Kaspa at the time, I was calling any kind of form of money credits because this book it's written 150 years in the future. And the way everyone uses money is not with fiat. Well, I stopped writing that book 8 years ago, and I even threw it away. I figured, what's the point of me writing this? I don't have anything to base this on. There's nothing that I can point to as this opening to a future. And then, of course, Caspa came along, and I started to regret throwing that book away. Well, I was looking through some old emails and I sent the book to somebody as a PDF, a beta reader, a stranger who I'd never met. I don't even know the person's name. I sent them a PDF copy of it to get their opinion on it. And they were very picky over what kind of books they read, and they had agreed to read mine based on the synopsis. And the reader gave me nothing but compliments. They were very positive about my book, but it made me not want to write in it anymore. So the day that I emailed it was the day that I had deleted it. So I learned about myself that I don't like to share my writing with people when it's unfinished because it makes me less productive. So I learned that about myself. However, last week I was looking through these emails and I found the PDF that I sent her. And I pulled it out, I looked at it, and I went, wait a minute. I can replace credits with Caspa. I can I can look at this book now with a different set of eyes because so many years have now passed. And as I'm reading the book and I'm seeing everything that back then was very much in the future, I started seeing things that were actually happening today. So, for instance, back then we didn't have DoorDash and Uber Eats and all of that. And here I am writing in here that people are getting their food delivered to their homes and that there's all these different things happening. And a lot of it actually has started to come to pass. And so I'm having to make this book even more futuristic. Uh, anyway, this book is based on a world inside of an indoor city. I don't know if you guys have watched some of the planning developments that are going out in areas near Saudi Arabia and in the Middle East, but there's a lot of planning and development towards indoor cities. And so I learned about that back in 2015 and thought, I'm going to make a story that's set inside of an indoor city and we're going to put it in Washington. And so my entire book is based on that, and it's written from many perspectives, including Fly's, and it's a very dystopian book. Okay, there's a lot of paranoia because in the future there's going to be even more surveillance than there is now. So I took it to surveillance on steroids. Okay, I went there. It is inspired by 1984, but even more futuristic. So it is everything that I imagine the future is going to be. But now that we have Kaspa, now I'm putting anything that is encrypted, anything that is on a network that needs to be stored safely, any kind of security element, any kind of money, it's all Kaspa. Even getting into people's doors when they put their thumbprint on their door to enter their home, it's on a Kaspa network now. And this whole book is based on that, but it's not a goody-goody story, right? This is dystopian. And so there's elements that are very frightening that are going to be on the Kaspa network. Because as a writer, I think it's good to push those boundaries. And so there's going to be a black market auction that's on the Kaspa network. And it's going to be scary as fuck. But I'm not a gory writer. I'm not really that into horror. It's psychological suspense, but there's a lot of satire. I love to write dark humor, and so there's a lot of satire in this book, and I use a lot of witty, sarcastic, Catch-22 style humor, and I'm kind of going in that direction, and I'm having fun with it for the first time in 8 years. And Juan's gonna laugh at this, but one of the things that made me want to start writing again is because I finally have a plot in my head. I wrote all those pages. I wrote 70 pages without a plot. Had all these subplots going on. I had world building, I had arcs, I had character development. I had everything but a plot. So now I have a plot, and one of those plots is I'm gonna have a serial killer who has a Neuralink in her head that won't turn off, and she can access other people's Neuralinks in their heads, and so she can hear what people are saying and what they're thinking. And some people are saying the word like a lot, and she's an editor, and she's a minor character in this book, but she's gonna go on a killing spree. So, yay! Juan, I'm looking at you, but don't worry, I'm not coming
That is a
after
good
you.
reason to become a serial killer, is what I've learned.
All right,
Like
Buffalo
for
here.
real, like.
All right, Buffalo, go ahead.
I think that's an awesome. I think this sounds like a lot of fun. Actually, I think you're having fun writing this. I think. I mean, I like kind of dystopian stories, um, and yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, just kind of that futuristic idea that's honestly probably not that too far ahead in the future, to be real. Um, of course, you know, I like this idea of like the Neuralink and like being able to know what people think and all this, and then plotting your murder or killing people, or basically trying to be your own god because you can understand what people think. I think that's really cool. I like that idea. But honestly, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's plausible, which makes it more of a thriller. So I think you're on the right road, and you're, you know, which is kind
So
of funny,
check
using using Kaspa network, which is kind of awesome. So
check this
yeah,
out, Buffalo. Wait, hold on. Check this out, Buffalo.
okay,
So you have Neuralinks, you have people reading each other's minds. So imagine if the wrong person got their hands on a protocol to access people's Neuralinks and they put that on a black market auction on the Caspa network. How scary would that be?
damn, like that's
That's what
some,
I'm
yeah,
writing.
some dark
That's
web
what I'm
shit right there.
writing. But here's the thing, I'm trying to avoid gore and horror. So I'm trying to make it absurd instead. Because obviously, if you mind control someone, you can have them put their hand in a blender and go into a gory. I don't want to do that. I really want it to be absurd
Well,
because I love that, you know?
yeah, you could make it absurd. You could make it efficient. Like, you don't have to explain all the gory details. Like, depending on the personality of the person, or how they operate in their life, you can make it really. You can make it really quick. You can make it efficient. So, two cars crash into each other. Whatever, right? Like, you don't have to go the gory route. You can leave plenty to the imagination, which I think is definitely lost in movies and TV shows nowadays. Well, definitely ever since the Red Wedding. But yeah, you can give them uh, you can give them the idea and let the reader make their own decision on it, but kind of give them the framework, and you don't have to go into the detail. There's a lot you can do here, which I think is great. It's going to be fun. Sounds like you're having fun.
Oh, yeah. And there's all these perspectives, not just human perspectives, but in the book, there's the perspective of drone flies, which are, of course, operated by security. And it shows what they're seeing as well as the other flies they're syncing to. So they get updated real time information as they're looking at the characters in the book. So instead of getting the author's perspective, some of the times you're getting the drone's perspective, just being a fly on the ceiling or a fly on a bottle or what have you. And that way you get a well rounded view, not just of what's happening in the room, but also what's happening in their brains, having that Neuralink access and having that human control over the drone as well. So there's a lot of perspectives. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's very paranoia centered. Um, but I will say this: when I went on Grok and I submitted my manuscript to Grok and asked for an honest opinion, and it broke it down, Grok compared me to Neil Stevenson, Michael Gibson, I think his name is, and Matt Crouch. And
Mm,
Philip K. Dick. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I've never read
yeah,
any of their books, but that's a compliment."
yeah. No, Philip K. Dick, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, and it sounds like it's going to be either a series or a big book, because you have a lot of layers. There's a lot of stuff you're going to have to write here.
Mhm.
This is a lot. I mean, yeah, you're world building, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And now I gotta write a plot. And I've always struggled with plots. The world building comes easy to me. Dialogue and character development comes easy. But sometimes action is a little difficult. So the last few days has been thinking and not writing, just thinking, which is not what you're supposed to do as a writer. You're supposed to be writing, but I am thinking because I have to think about what I'm going to write.
Yeah, you want a direction, right? You want to know, you have to have a reason for the um you have to have a reason for them to read it, other than, oh, this is interesting, but there has to be an end goal, and then probably a twist at the end,
Mhm.
however you want to do it. Um
Mhm.
but yeah, to get the reader to be invested. But building a world that's actually really attainable and really considering how many people are worried about their privacy in the world, and how, since the Patriot Act and all this stuff, like, it's very, very believable, and we're probably closer than we all even know.
Oh yeah,
Um,
a lot of it's already happening now. I
yeah,
mean, for
so I
instance,
think.
People
So
are looking at each other through their televisions. We already have that going on now. No one talks about it, but if you have a smart TV, you're being watched. Wave, right?
oh,
So that's in the
absolutely.
book, and then we get to see the perspective of the watchers, not just those being watched. So
Yeah.
it's got all of that in there.
Oh yeah. I mean, the obvious plot would be to take down the government or whoever's in control.
You can't
But
take it down if it's on Caspa.
okay, there you go. So you could use that as you could you could use something like that to reroute it, and then if you want, because there's no end solution as of yet with you as a writer, then you could turn this into multiple stories.
Can you imagine? We can't stop this. It's immutable. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess get guns and go hang out with the Amish. I don't know. Like, what else can we do?
but then the watchers can see how many guns you have. They know where you're located. They know how, I mean, there's really no way. How do you defend yourself? Unless you have, and then I have parts of the book that show people who have invisible capabilities based on different technologies with squid skin and stuff like that, where you can put on stuff that acts as an ointment. They can actually turn you invisible and act as a disruptor to some of those scanners and the cameras, which I think is the direction we're going.
Kara, I'm like afraid to just hang out in your mind for a day. Like, that is a goddamn carnival, girl. I love
You'll
it. No,
love
it's
the book
good.
then. You'll love the book then because it's got a lot of all of that.
No, I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. It's like, I mean, yeah, definitely kind of a 1984 for the new age, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I dig it. Well, good, girl. Keep it up and keep us up to date on it. I would love to read it. I think that'd be awesome. I think especially, I mean, and also because we have this community, but we don't know how big Caspa is going to be. We have a theory, but of course we can't tell the future. But you already have a community, and that's good for your books. And I think that we're all a bunch of nerds who love freedom. So let's be real. That's
Yeah.
really what like when I look at the Caspa community, we're nerds that like to stay healthy and to have freedom. That's what I've noticed. And I think Juan can speak to that, right, man?
100%. Yeah, yeah. I think you nailed it. Right. We are nerds that just we want freedom, and this is it's way. Kara, we talked before the show about, hey, what are some of the things she's like, I don't really. I'm like, no, this is what this whole blockchain banter is about, sharing what you're discovering, and I just thought it was super cool that she started something and then kind of foresaw what was coming. And I really do think that we're a lot of us are we're discovering, we're remembering things. There's so much there, and yeah, it's I'm interested in reading the book, and I'm not really into that world, but it's Kara brings up some super interesting insights on things, and having conversations with her even offline, I've learned a lot from her. So yeah, it's awesome that with what you're doing, Kara. I think it's going to be super cool that you
Thank
found
you.
inspiration with it. Yeah,
I'm so
I'll let you ride
happy
that.
to have inspiration to write after all
Yeah, you
this
were you,
time.
you were so excited about it. I'm like, okay, we're definitely bringing that up on the show. Like, yeah, why not?
I mean, I threw it away, lost interest, and then after 8 years said, wait a minute, I need that book. Where is it? Where is it? And I told my dad, and my dad's a writer. He's written dozens of books, and I help him publish them. And he's always asking me, do you ever write something from 10 years ago and it comes back to you? And I always say, no, that never happens to me. Well, then this happened to me. And my dad said, welcome to the world. Welcome to my life.
Portal open for you to receive. Caspa needed
So I
to.
have I have turned into my dad. I don't
Well,
know how I feel about that.
I'm sure there's worse people you could be. So hey, that doesn't sound so bad.
Thank you. We have Kaspa Marketing who was requesting to speak. Juan, can you try? Okay, I guess it worked that time. I'm having trouble getting them approved. I think you might have to help with some of those.
Okay, yeah, he's approved. He or she's approved.
All right, cool. All right, Kaspa Marketing, do you want to share anything?
Yeah, thanks for letting me talk. I wanted to just say that I was really impressed with your synopsis of the book, and I wish you the best of luck with it. And I also was wondering if you had thought about um, maybe you have your standard copies of the book, but also having like a limited edition of the book, on the blockchain as an NFT.
I've never even considered that. I will give that some thought. I've never made an NFT. I don't have any experience with that. It does sound interesting. I'll think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably read that book either way, um, but it would just be an interesting way to kind of approach the. I think Gary Vee did something like that, right? Do you guys know about Gary Vee?
I'm unfamiliar.
I know
Will
who
you
he is.
tell?
Yeah, well, I'm familiar with him.
Gary Vee did something where he released a book and he attached NFTs to it, and they were like limited editions, and it did really well. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of support from the Caspa community if you integrate Caspa into the book.
I do wonder what might happen if Jonathan or Michael Sutton read the book and they see how dystopian it is and they go, what the? When they start having Einstein moments where they start regretting the bomb or whatever. Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen because
It's entertain.
Michael had said he wanted to read my nonfiction book I was writing. He doesn't know I'm writing this one yet, and he wanted to read that one. If he reads this, he might have a moment where he goes, "What have I created?"
It's entertainment. We need stuff like this. We gotta express yourself and show all sides. So I think it's a great thing.
That's a good point. And it is entertaining. There's some scenes that are really, really funny, the kind that make you want to pee on yourself. Just funny moments. Really dark humor, but really, really on the humor side. It's not gory, it's not horror, it's paranoia, but there's no torture. It's just absurd. It's insanity times 1,000, but written from the perspective of really creative writing. And it's something I'm really proud of. And I'm hoping that when I do put it out, it'll be something that I've rewritten and rewritten until it feels like a masterpiece. Because I don't want to turn it into a series. I want to make it one good long book and just put my best into it. And I've actually taken out a lot of pages already because I want it to be good. I don't want it to just be good writing, I want it to be a good story. And to me, it's really important. And so I'm having to look at this from the perspective of a reader and say, you know what? They're not going to want to read an information dump. Let me take this part out. Let me take this part out. And let me give them what they really are going to want to hang on to. And so I'm kind of looking at it from that perspective right now. I'm sure you guys all know this, but when you're writing for the first time a novel, you're supposed to write stream of consciousness. Don't edit. Just do your rough draft. Don't edit as you go. Well, I was writing this 10 years ago, and so the whole thing is a rough draft. And now that I'm looking at it, years and years later, as an editor, I'm looking at my words and going, what was I thinking? I need commas everywhere. So I spent 3 days just adding commas and fixing typos and correcting myself and looking at myself from an editor's perspective, while also recognizing that when I wrote it, I wasn't trying to edit as I go. uh, so right now I'm having to, now that I've proofread it, now I want to go back and try to get into that writer state of mind without letting my editor brain take over. Because if I just keep editing right now, I'm never going to get through it. I have to just write. Well, that's where I'm at. But I do want to maybe move on to another subject, if that's all right. I know that Juan was talking earlier with me on the phone about uh, the state of finances today in America, and interest rates and Powell and this this implosion that could happen if things don't start to move. And so, Juan, I really want to just pick your brain on that if you're willing to, so that we can have people who are listening get some of that insight that you have from the book, The Big Print, that you read, and just what you've learned and all of that. Because a lot of that's new, not only to me, but a lot of people who are hearing that for the first time. So feel free to ramble, and I'll just pick your brain as you go.
Yeah, we were talking about, I mentioned it at the end of what I shared with the realization of how one Kaspa is one Kaspa, and even going back to one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. These being proof of work protocols that have a scarce supply, and how they're repricing what's happening in the system that we exist in, right? And again, another big takeaway for me from having the loan, that again, having it collateralized and then having it just, sold like that. And again, not taken away from me. I felt like I used it. It's like I was trying to dip into both ways of functioning. And that's what I see with a lot of people. So what I shared with Kara is that I know that, like whenever people start sharing things about charts and it going here and there and all that, I shared this, I think, on last week's call, where with my son, he has a Tangent wallet, and he has Bitcoin and Kaspa, and I just get like I get a gauge from him, and I say, oh, where, how's it doing? He's like, oh, he tells me, oh, it's resting, when it's down, or oh, it's growing when it's up. Like, that's literally how he relates to it. So all that to say, with how we measure things in nominal terms, that's all we have. That's what we base things on. And when you really start to take a look at the numbers, which can be, I'm not a financial guy. I do not come from that background, but I have built businesses, and I have had metrics, and I do look at things, and I do measure and quantify, and try to figure out, okay, here's where we're at, this is where we're going. And when you really take a look at the financial system, and understanding, again, going back to the fact that the currency is being debased, I think everybody on this space, everybody understands that that's what's happening, right? And if you understand that, you get that, okay, these protocols like Bitcoin, like Kaspa, that have a set supply, set inflation, like we know what's going to happen with the supply eventually. Kaspa is going to pass the stock to flow of Bitcoin, I believe, by 2027. It's the financial systems, that the dollar in value is designed to go down forever. It's and let's take what has been the hardest form of money for 5,000 years, right? Gold. So a gold 100 years ago, an ounce of gold could buy you the same thing that an ounce of gold can buy you today. The only difference is that we've been conditioned to look at things in the dollar, right? And in the dollar, an ounce of gold is now worth $4,000. So there's a cognitive dissonance there. People can't look at it and be like, okay, well, an ounce of gold is an ounce of gold, just like one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, one Kaspa is one Kaspa. But that's not how we look at things. That's not how we measure things. That's not what's on the news. So we hear about, oh, the price of this going up, the house price is going up, and all of that, the inflation. We've just accepted inflation. So there's so many things that get in the way of just simplifying this shit and making it make sense. Um, and so much manipulation happening. So, for me, I paid attention quite a bit during the elections because I thought it was super important. I just shut down my business in 2023, and I go, oh, whoever's president, whatever happens here, it's gonna matter. It's gonna matter with my taxes. Like, I got caught up in all that drama, all of it. And at the end of it, to realize, like, okay, shit, I hadn't paid attention to politics for in 15 years. What did I just wasted so much energy giving that energy, understanding that, like, once I really got to understand what Bitcoin is, and then what Caspa is, like, these protocols are repricing everything over there. That's designed to go down forever. These have set supplies and they're designed to go up forever. Forever. And where people get caught up in the emotion of things is like we even talked about this, right? Kara, we mentioned like we mentioned time really briefly. And I said to Kara, I'm like, time's an illusion. That's a whole nother thing. And I think about again how I've been able to vibe and how I've been able to live the last couple of years. And why I'm even talking, or because I was a faceless profile up until 3 months ago. I'm like, okay, no, there's a lot of people that need to understand that we're yelling at, like, we're in the prison gates in that other system, being like, oh, but this side needs to do this and you guys need to do that and I'm right and you're wrong, and they're yelling at each other. But the cage is wide open for you to go to leave. Like there's nothing keeping you over there. So
Do we have any comments from some of our speakers who want to weigh in on what Juan has just shared?
yeah, so there's we'll give people time in case they want to. So there's just so much. We're so at the beginning of this. I mean, again, Bitcoin's only 16 years old in this space, and there's only what 110 million Bitcoin users. We're at 1 to 3% adoption with Bitcoin, 10% overall in the world. There's just we don't have a frame of reference for any of this, and it's so new and it's so fresh. So we're working through it. We're figuring it out as we go. Okay, I see Buffalo has his hand up. What's up, brother?
Yeah, one. I think you're. I mean, I think you're correct. I think that people don't understand how new this is. I mean, of course, technology moves very, very quickly. Um, I mean, what was it? 100 years ago, we couldn't even fly. No, what was it?
Yeah.
120 years ago, we couldn't fly. Something like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this tech moves crazy. Now we went to the moon, unless you don't believe we did that. But it moves really, really quickly. Um, and I kind of liken this to. I mean, the thing that's great about cryptocurrency, it's in its infancy, but it's in its infancy in adoption. When people started buying pieces of businesses, and then the stock market, stock exchange, this is kind of it's similar to that. But even till before, like, um, before we were able to have like Robinhood and E-Trader and all these things where you could just buy it yourself, you had to have a broker. You had to call a broker. You had to talk to them and be like, "Hey, I want to buy this much," and you had to send in the money, and this is your person, whatever. Um, so now I think since Robinhood, it's really, really blown up with people being like, okay, especially with the internet, talking to people and sharing information, being like, hey, you want to store your money because the dollar is devaluing. You want to save your money and get money on your money. So when you retire and you're too old to work, your family doesn't have to take care of you or whatever. It's not a burden. Um, so I mean, I think that's the majority of a lot of people. They're like, okay, at least in the past, of like, hey, I'm going to put my money in the stock market. I'll get my 4% annually, even though even at that point, they don't know they're getting taken advantage of, right? Because 4% is better than nothing. But then again, you look at the devaluation of money, and its average is like 3% a year. Um, and then here comes COVID, and we lost 5% a year. We lost 25% of our purchasing power in the last 5 years, which is insane. But that's what happens when you hold the dollar, and that's why people invest. But now with this new, I mean, it's not, it's new tech, but so many people are not, like you said, so many people are not invested, and a lot of people don't know it. So the banks and the powers that be, the money people, like BlackRock and Vanguard and all those people, as soon as the regulation is lifted or set, I should say, and they can invest, they're going to do the same damn thing that they did before. Is they're going to scoop it all up and sell it to you. But the banks are going to have control. And that's what is great about crypto, is that you don't have to give them the control. If you just study it just a little bit, you know how to hold a wallet, You know how to use an app to be able to pay for things, a hot wallet or whatever. But the banks are on the verge of losing control. But because it's so much, very much in its infancy, and they know that, they're going to put their efforts into maintaining that control and taking that money, that crypto. That's what I'm referring to money. But they're going to take that, they're going to lend it out just like money, like they've always done. They're going to overlend, which is what they do, because when you come back and be like, hey, come back with a banknote, be like, I want to pull my money. And they're like, oh shit. And then you see it's nothing's new under the sun, right? So this is going to happen again. That's what it's looking like. But the thing that's wonderful, especially about the blockchain and Kaspa, is you don't need that much education to be self-sovereign, and you don't need them to control your money for you. And it's not that much more work in your head just to hold your own wallet, you know? So I see that them pushing in, because it's in its infancy, for the banks to control crypto, to buy, because they have the money, right? They have our money to buy in, to control crypto, and then to let you to do the same damn thing that they're doing and that they've been doing. And then now with these digital IDs in Europe and these other countries are trying to do this to have complete control. This is where Kara's book is is probably closer to us than we think in the timeline, that we have to have the self-sovereignty, and Bitcoin is a great store of value, like no doubt. But it wasn't meant for BlackRock. It wasn't meant for Vanguard. It wasn't meant for the banks. But they're going to take a hold of it. So the best thing that we can do is stack as much as we can right now in Caspa or Bitcoin if you want to use Bitcoin. But we have to be able to be self sovereign, because they're going to come in and they're going to take control. Now, I might have gone off on a tangent. I apologize if I went off subject, but that's kind of, from what you were saying, that's kind of where I'm at looking at this. And if we lose our sovereignty, it's going to be 1984. It's going to be whatever the title of Kara's book is. Like, this is what's going to happen. So I stress so much to have decentralized, scalable, secure money, and we need it. And it is freedom.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
Buffalo. I don't think you went off on a tangent at all. I think you hit home on some points there that are super critical, and especially what you said at the end, the self sovereignty. One of the FUD things out there is, oh, nobody cares about it. Well, nobody cares about it because nobody really understands what it is, and how you have access to it now, right? That's a matter of education. That's a matter of it being spoken about. But we are so fresh to this, and touching on what you said earlier too, where technology does move so quickly, and it was just 100 years ago that everybody thought Nikola Tesla was crazy when he said, "Oh, but alternating current that can light up an entire city," and they were like, "Oh, you're nuts." And then all the propaganda that came out from the direct current camp, and we're seeing all the stuff is repeating itself. So these cycles repeat themselves, and unfortunately, there has to be pain before we go back to the base foundational principles and how things naturally function, right? And that's I'm a big proponent of this, that I'm going to continue to preach. But when you understand that transacting value, so me being able to pay you directly for whatever I perceive as valuable, and not having the energy of a third party in that transaction, that's freedom. That's the source of so many fucking problems, and excuse my language, but I've been able to live that, my little bubble with my family, right? That's why, when I was starting to talk on these spaces and stuff, I'm like, everybody around me has Caspa and Bitcoin. Everyone that interacts with me, there's no way you don't have it. because it comes from my soul. I can see it. You can see it. I can see what's happening. I can't help but talk about this solution to so many problems. So no, man, you hit a bunch of really good points there, and sovereignty is where it's at. You know, it's not that people don't care about it; people don't know about it. And if you really give a shit, you know, about somebody, that's why when I opened the call today and just talked about okay, I see that I need to spread this around. I can't hoard it. You can't hoard it because it's going to benefit people when they have it. You know, I had Bitcoin sent to me in 2018. I didn't really understand it until last year. And who knows if I really understood it, would have gotten to understand it last year had I not had it sent to me and I could see all the history it sat in my account, So yeah, no, so thanks. Yeah, thanks for the input there, Buffalo. I thought a lot of that was valid.
Yes, thank you for that. And I am a firm believer in everything that you just said. The sovereignty issue, the people at the top that are the decision makers, they're going to want all of this. They don't want us to be rich. They don't want us to be sovereign. They don't want us to have any financial control. And I believe, this is speculation, but I believe that in the future, whether it's Bitcoin or Kaspa or some other coin, I do believe that these big players are going to start confiscating, at least to the best of their ability, everything that we've accumulated because they don't want us to have it. So store it and store it well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, definitely store it. Uh, they're gonna want it, absolutely, and they'll probably go legal means to try and get it. Um, but that's just another reason why I'm such a very pro Second Amendment American. Um,
Yes, love them guns.
well, no, we got to what is it? 30. It only took 30 years, the UK losing their guns before we had totalitarianism start pushing in and control and disruption with other cultures that are trying to take over the Europe. And it's you let in people to destabilize the government, and then you say, oh well, this is how we can fix it, and they have the oh, it's okay, government's going to fix it, and it's like you just have to give up everything. You're already losing your culture, like you're giving up everything, you're giving up your freedom. And it's not just here that, or it's not just there that that's happened. It's happened in multiple countries. It's even happened here in the U.S. when we had a bunch of undocumented uh, migrants come in, and I think that was there for destabilization. But if you destabilize an area and you start taking people's culture away and their belief system, and this is how you dominate. This is how you dominate a culture. This is how you dominate an area. It's you destabilize it and then you take their power away and then they give it to you freely. Like this is just like human psychology. We already know this. Um, so for us to have to have strength against this, um, to have strength against what's going on. I mean, some people can call it the mark of the beast. Some people can call it whatever. I mean, this is not it's not a new story, right? It's all about total control. And not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but if you just look at the steps of what's happening with, you know, the WEF saying that you're going to own nothing and be happy. And they said that publicly and I was like, "Oh shit. Okay." So we're doing this already. Great. I thought I'd be dead before this happened. Son of a bitch. But anyway,
The term conspiracy theory was created by the CIA to make people not believe credible people. So you're in good
yeah.
hands here. Say what you want to say.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I
But yeah,
second that as well. So just
thanks,
yeah,
Juan.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, anybody with eyes and who, I mean, the internet is a wonderful thing, and history is a wonderful thing because if you, we have the information to educate ourselves, right? So we need to use it, and I think that a lot of Caspians do that, and I think that Bitcoiners are kind of learning that. Some are just ignorant people, willful ignorance, which I just don't have patience for. But to get that message out and to talk to these people, to educate them. All you can do is hand it out, and if they want to take it, they can take it. I see all these Bitcoiners are like, "Oh, well, yeah, well, they're we're getting this money in, blah blah," and they're just excited about pumping their bags. But I'm all down for making money. Like this is an investment. I don't think anybody is deluded to the fact that we're here to make money. But what makes it better is when you can make money, have self sovereignty, and stick it to the man. Like all of that, to have that independence and to make money and to do something that you believe in. Like you're investing in something you believe in, right? Like I owned ETFs, which is like a safe play for me. I only play safe plays. I liquidated all my ETFs and threw it into Kaspa. Like stuff I had put in for a long time, and people are like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "No. First of all, I believe in this. I believe in the project. Yes, am I not going to make as much gains because I'm in at the moment? Maybe. Do I care that much? Well, I'm still able bodied. I can make more money. It doesn't matter to me right now. That doesn't matter to me right now. But what I want is to get as much Caspa as I can because I know it's coming. Just like if we were in 2008, I remember in 2012, 2013, I think it was 2012. My buddy had introduced me to Bitcoin, and he's like, "Dude, oh Bitcoin." And I'm like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, it's internet money." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I was like, "How much is it?" He's like, "It's like $2,000 a coin." I was like, "Fuck, I wish I wasn't poor. I'd totally do that." Um, and I was in my 20s, so I'm like, "Okay, well, I can't do that, but it sounds awesome." And then later on, it's definitely caught on, and people are understanding like why they're like, "Oh, it's crazy internet money." I'm like, "Okay, but the benefit is I can send it anywhere in the world without a bank or anybody telling me I can't. It'll be there in a certain amount of time and it's secure." And Caspa's sub-second, 10-second finality, and we're not even done yet. And it gets to that person, and there's no control. I mean, we have the ledger, right? But there's no control. No one can tell me that I can't do it. And I can send money across the world. I don't have to wait 3 days or whatever and then pay a fee because I'm doing, Wells Fargo, or I'm doing a cashier's check or whatever. I'm sending it. It's instant money that can be used in 10 seconds after they get it, which is just crazy. It's just such beautiful, beautiful tech. And we really, just looking at that, we hold something very, very valuable. And I want people to understand this. You may not have very much Caspa. I know we got a few people listening, but if you may not have very much Caspa, it doesn't matter. You have time right now. You're alive. You can work. You can sell some things. Maybe you want to sell some things that don't really have any value to you, whatever. Like, I have some cards, like I had some old cards that I had that were valuable. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to get a better return on my Caspa. So, um, as an investment, it's great. It's fantastic. In a use case, it's great. It's the best that we have. And as adoption and as we get stable coins, which I think a lot of people are against, but I see the benefit, and it's an inevitability. And I think that we need them because there's going to be plenty of people who aren't into the tech as much as we are and don't want to use it as a store of value or don't want to use it as money. That's fine, but we're going to have the fastest finality because it's going to be on the layer one. Eventually, our stable coins will be on layer one, and people are going to be like, "Wow, these fees are so cheap. Let's go." Like, why would I use this? Like, that's why I went to Tron, because the fees were cheap and it was decently fast, right? For stable coins. So that's what I used. If Caspa has stable coins, that's what I'm going to use. And anybody would be retarded not to use them. So, like, just from a financial perspective, like you look at the KEF and what they're doing, and their partners and what they're trying to accomplish, or sorry, KII, their partners in business, they're going to integrate these businesses into Caspa and save them millions and billions of dollars. So why wouldn't you use it? All right, I'll get off. I'll get off. I'm done with my TED talk. Sorry, guys. I'm going too long.
That was a beautiful TED talk. We enjoyed it. So thank you. Thank you for coming up and speaking. That's what this is blockchain banter. So that's what this is about. Or this isn't just about Kara and I up here talking. We want people to give their input. Let us know what you think. So that was awesome, Buffalo man. Appreciate you coming up and chiming in, man. You hit home on a lot of points there. A lot of things hit home for sure.
Yeah, thanks. And once again, thank you guys. I know I'm only on episode 3 here, and I was on episode 2. I think that's when I found you guys and I came in. But I'm glad you guys are doing this. And I want to keep it going. And yeah, no, I'll be here. It's Wednesdays every Wednesday,
Right.
right? One.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll cut the time out and be here, and we'll community, and we'll all support each other.
Sounds good. Juan, I want to comment on something you said. You were talking about the how the community really fought against the AC current during a time when they were very pro DC current. And it reminded me of back in the old days, back in the BC era, when people who believed in the number 0 were tortured or killed and weren't allowed to use it. And if you were a mathematician trying to prove the number 0, off with your head, or you were drowned. And Pythagoras, he was notorious for this. And what's ironic is that he's in all of our math books for the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. But he's notorious for having stole math from mathematicians that he had killed who brought information to him. He had Hippasus murdered. He had him murdered via drowning because he said, the number 0 exists. The number 0 exists. And he said, I'm sentencing you to drowning. And then Archimedes, years and years later, he had to use the same Greek method of explaining math, but he couldn't mention 0. So what he did is he took triangles and he kept cutting the triangles in half. And then he'd cut those triangles in half. So it went a half, a fourth, an eighth, a 16th, a 32th, a 64, 128, 256, 512. He started making these as smaller and smaller as he could as fractions to be as close to infinity, to as close as 0 as he could go without saying 0 because he didn't want to die. And it's ironic because today we have Kaspa, and it has a parameter of 0. And we're alive, but we get blocked everywhere we turn when we talk to people who already have preconceived notions about Kaspa. And it's really ironic because if you look at the calendar system, we have the BC era, we have the AD era, but there's no 0. There's no 0 that separates them. And that's where the Greeks realized that they need the number 0 because then they started messing up people's ages. They said, oh my gosh, we're a year off. Well, no shit, Sherlock. No shit, Sherlock. So I'm at that stage where I feel like a lot of us are being unfairly portrayed as being shitcoiners or you're dumb or you're stupid. And that's what they said about the mathematicians who believed in 0. It's the same people who believed in AC current before DC. I mean, well, DC was out first, but then they complained that it would take creating an entire new structural system to accommodate AC, even though it would be better for everyone and accommodate more people. But they said, oh, we can't afford the structure, blah, blah, blah. With 0, they were upset because it philosophically destroyed their idea of God, creation, the void. For them, if it wasn't a number, then it wasn't given by God. Back then, everything was religion. The only people who had access to numbers and counting were the religious scholars. And now all of us are in school. And we're learning about math, but we're not learning about the theology and philosophy behind it. We're just seeing numbers. But back then, it was the opposite. They never looked at these like numbers. They looked at these as if these were God sent, and the number 0 represented the void before the earth was created. And to even discuss 0 was to basically be blasphemous and sacrilegious. And these are the same people who controlled the whole country of Greece, right? And Archimedes, poor guy, he was on the floor. There was sand. He was writing in sand with his finger. He was trying to show a proof on the ground. And he got murdered by a Roman soldier that stabbed him from behind. I think they got him in the neck or something. And he was working on a math proof. Anyway, I'm off tangent, but I get what Buffalo was saying about how you have people who are in control. They don't want people to be sovereign. They don't want you thinking for yourself. They don't want you knowing certain things. And I don't even think that our math is all math. I think some of it's complete BS. Don't even get me started on that. But the fact that we have this new financial system, people laughed at me for calling it a financial belief to believe that Kaspa is sound money. But I don't think it's funny at all. I do believe it's sound money, and sure, it's a financial belief. What's wrong with that? People have numerical beliefs, people have mathematical beliefs, people have philosophical, psychological beliefs. Why not a financial belief? I, in my heart, believe Kaspa is sound money, and I don't think it's gambling. I think it's a sound investment, and that's how I feel about it. So I just wanted to share that.
Oh, so much fire being dropped right now. Buffalo, Kara. I mean, you guys are hitting home on so many points that are valid, and I think like Buffalo mentioned, a lot of us here in Caspa were nerds maybe, but we're so much more than that, right? We're free thinkers. I think that's what for me it goes back to, and why I relate to so many of you. We're not going to be told something when we feel something completely different. And it's like, okay, you can say that, but this is what I see, right? And I there's layers to this, right? And the beautiful thing about technology and how it's evolved over the years and is we have access to this information. And yeah, at the same time, you got to look at the input of the information. So those of us that are willing to go a little bit deeper, right? Like I'm grateful for Bitcoin and I'm grateful for Sailor and all the YouTube videos that I had to consume to really understand what is money. I never asked that question. What is money? What is this thing? But that's where it starts. And I mean, I can tell you this, and especially since I shared earlier with my foster mom how Lucy is such a foundational component to me always questioning things. I have questioned things forever and ever, my entire life, and it's always worked out for me. One of my favorite poets is Robert Frost, and he has a poem called "A Road Less Taken." And I may butcher the poem, but it's something along the lines of two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and I chose the one less traveled by, and that has made all of the difference. And that really is, I mean, for me, it started, I sold Cutco knives when I was in college, and people were like, oh, it's a scam. Like, you have to go to your friends and family and get referrals. I'm like, okay, so you're saying what? I have to work and make phone calls and learn things and provide value? I mean, Cutco's still around. I did pretty well. And I remember all my friends trying to sell it and they couldn't, and I'm like, okay, I'm onto something here. Whenever the crowd's going right, you'd be like, well, why is nobody going this way? It's because most people choose the path of least resistance. So I look at when people start talking shit and questioning and all this and that, and you can see it. You see it with I see Caspa. Is that Caspa Onion or Warrior? Is that? So you guys both have turtles. So Caspa Onion.
It's
I
onion.
love me some Caspa Onion because Caspa Onion is that dude is he goes in and he doesn't. It's like, but this is what it is. And then he gets, we've had some conversations, some DMs of, my Zen ways, and trust me, it's taken me a long time to get here. But that's really what it's about. It's really about like, no, okay, you can say that, but what is it really? Because there's what actually is, and then there's this story that people create around what they think it is. And that's where you really got to look at. So when I take a look at where the Caspa community is, and you look at how again, going all the way back to the original Bitcoin Kaspa debates. Those weren't debates. We went on there because they had a nice little following, and then we came on there like we were so nice. And I remember after that, I'm like, okay, no, I reached out to Caspa Onion, and I reached out to Nakasompa. I'm like, we gotta start talking. You guys were on there trying to educate, and you can tell that none of these Bitcoiners really knew anything. They were very on the surface with it, very on the surface. And here at Caspa, and part of the reason why our show is called what it's called is because, like, no, there's layers to all of this. You can't just take what I'm saying as your truth. You literally need to dig deeper. And if it bothers you, that's a signal. Dig a little deeper, find the truth. And we have access to all this information, all this technology to really, really dig in deep. And I was sharing this with you earlier, right, Kara? Where, for me, it's like I don't come from a technical background or anything like that. And coming into this, I still have to do it because I speak two languages, and my first language is Spanish. And I sometimes think in Spanish. And sometimes when I hear the acronyms and the way we talk, we got to remember this, by the way, when we're trying to introduce people to this industry and talk to them about Caspa, because we get excited. It's like, okay, get back to the basics. Try to be as simple as you can when you're explaining what this is and what it can do for people. Go ahead, Kara.
So you had mentioned the basics, and we're also talking beneath the surface. But for people who might be listening, who are curious what Caspa is and what's above the surface, I'm going to just very briefly, go over what Caspa is, and I'll tell you what's beneath the surface. So Caspa started out as basically a completion of what Bitcoin tried to start but didn't finish. So it uses the same Nakamoto consensus. It's 10 blocks per second, whereas Bitcoin is 1 block per 10 minutes. So there's a huge speed difference. They're both proof of work. Caspa is fairly launched, which means everyone gets a free, fair, not a free, but I guess a fair way of paying for the Caspa without it just being airdropped to VCs and people who have access to exchanges, and no one's being bribed, basically. Everyone's getting it fairly. And it's scalable. Bitcoin wanted to be scalable, but unfortunately, if everything takes 10 minutes, it just takes too long. No one's going to wait that long. If you're at McDonald's and you're trying to get your McFlurry or whatever, no one's going to wait that length of time. And so they created Lightning thinking it's going to go faster. But when Bitcoin made Lightning, it ended up not securing the network. It doesn't help the miners. Kaspa wanted to create basically a layer 1 that could do what Bitcoin was doing on layer 1 and layer 2. So we're able to do what Lightning can do, but better because we're not going off the network to do any transactions. All the transactions are helping the miners. They're all securing the network. It's scalable and it's fast. And usually fast and scalable things are usually reserved for proof of stake networks. This is proof of work. And proof of work is, for me, it's more fair because proof of stake implies that you have money, you're putting your money to secure your spot and having more control over a decision than someone else. But in Caspa, everyone gets the same fair voice, and that's why I like it. And when you control your money and you're self-sovereign and you have custody of your own keys and your own coins, You're putting that in your own hands. You're putting the power in your own hands. And what's beneath the surface of that are the stories that we're sharing here, our wins, our losses, our visions, what we see it's going to do, what we think it'll do, our highs, our lows. Here's how our families are using it. Here's how we share it with our loved ones. Here's how much happiness we have that it's finally here. Here's our optimism and where we hope it'll be. Here's the frustration that we're facing when we try to tell people about it and they don't receive it. Here are some of the debates that we're having with people who disagree with us. Here are the voices of people who are building on the network. Here's our wins and losses of creating coins, NFTs, building AI projects, building XYZ, right? There's so many things being built on it. And so beneath the surface is us telling our stories of what we're doing with this very new technology. It's not just a coin. When people say, what is Kaspa? Some people say, oh, it's this coin. Well, no, it's a network. It's a protocol. And there's so much that can be built on it that's way beyond money. And so those of us that are really enthusiastic about it, we're cypherpunks. We want to have all the benefits of this, and we want to see privacy features down the road, and we have all these visions of what it can be, and that's what we're excited about. We're not just excited about what it is, we're excited about what's coming and what can be, because we've seen the roadmaps, we've seen what's coming down the line, and people say, oh, you're smoking hopium. Well, you know what? If you have the research and the know-how and you're reading into the future and you know what's coming, if you want to call that hopium, fine. But the rest of us think of it as we're growing as human beings and learning and growing and finding out information early, and that makes us fine investors. That's my little soapbox.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thanks for thanks for the breakdown, Kara. Like that was beautiful.
Could I have the floor for a moment?
Absolutely. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
Um, so I want to come at this in a neutral way, but Juan, if a Jehovah's, and this isn't a religious thing, but if a Jehovah's Witness came to your house every day for 180 days straight, how would you start to feel from the beginning of that process to the 180th day?
Did they come invited or uninvited?
Uninvited.
Yeah, I guess eventually I would probably pretend like I'm not home if I'm not inviting them.
And is it fair to say that you would feel like maybe you'd tell your wife, like, oh gosh, this guy again, he doesn't take a hint, right? You know?
Right.
So we have this luxury of being able to just peer into everyone else's life on social media. And that's truly what Twitter is, Facebook is, right? We put ourselves out there. Some of us do it for engagement farming, and some of us do it for, socializing. But these Bitcoin maxis, they're doing their thing, and it's whether or not the Jehovah's Witness is right or wrong, at a certain point, it's nothing more than an irritant to be showing up at Juan's house and be trying to convert him. It's like, all right, like I got the paperwork, like I'll read it if I'm in the mood. And sometimes when I'm looking at the Caspa community, which is the strongest community in crypto by far, but at the end of the day, like there's a little bit of a Jehovah's Witness thing going on here. Like, right? Like, I mean, we're just kind of barging in on there could be two people talking about Solana and Ethereum, and then there'll be 25 Caspa people in the comments. And I think it's important for people to in summary, I see people saying study Cas, study Cas, study Cas, and I sort of took it a different route. I said, start using Cas, start being a creator, and start building within the community of Cas people, and that's going to be what ultimately, in my opinion, gets people to come over to Kaspa, is by creating things and within each other, within our own community, and not even in a competitive way, but just to show what is capable on Kaspa. There's 550,000 token unique wallets, I think, last time I checked. There's yesterday, I don't know what the transactions are today. Yesterday, there was about 650,000 transactions. That's like 1.1 transaction per holder, So like it's not really being used in a way that it should be used, which ultimately would maybe get people to say, what's going on over here? This seems like a great product. That's the end of my statement.
No, thanks for sharing that, Casimir. I mean, great point, right? And I agree with the approach in terms of how you're looking at it. And I've shared this in a couple, because I'm in a couple group chats with a handful of people on this space. But I do believe that we're always going to have the spectrum of the really intense people, and then maybe more of what you're talking about. Um, but I do, and I can relate to that, because in my life, the way what's worked is being very genuine and authentic. And when it comes up, when the opportunity arises, and there's an invite, right, to educate, that's always the best time. So it really, I'm with you. I shared it at the beginning of the call with, that was my lesson with having the loan that I had collateralized in Bitcoin. That was the major lesson. It's like I ended up using the Bitcoin that I borrowed against, but I didn't use it the way I could have used it to help with adoption. So, no, man, great points, and I think super valid. And people got to take that to heart. That's a great message that that is super important for us to be spreading.
If I could just throw a follow up is as well, is like, here's just a very simple example. This is my second episode. I mean, you guys have only been this is only episode 3, so I'm thrilled to be here, and I really like this community here. Here's another example. Yesterday I jumped into a room and they were talking about NFTs, or space, I should say. And they were talking about NFTs, and they were talking about Solana and Ethereum. And, you know, I could say all I want about being, Kaspa's being Jehovah's. I'm a little Jehovah myself, right? Like, so I was like, well, what do you guys think about Kaspa? And they're like, well, what's Kaspa? Well, it sounds like garbage. I ended up getting removed from the party. Out of, really for no reason. It was non-confrontational. They just weren't trying to have any other conversation other than Solana and Ethereum. And, what was interesting is that they were asking me about it and then not letting me finish my sentences, and then then I got kicked. But in a room like this, full of Caspians, if you will, um, everyone's so friendly and receptive, and that's what's really special about Kaspa. And I think that's why I stick around, because there is a lot more action on other chains. But case in point is, if I support Juan, I support Kara, and let's say Juan launched a meme coin, Juan coin, right? Look, I'm not saying I'm going to invest $1,000 into it, but I'm going to get involved. I'm going to throw in $10, right? Because I want to support Juan and his spaces. That seems interesting to me, and then it gives everyone this sense of ownership within the Kaspa community, and I think that's what's valuable. That's what makes Solana valuable. That's what makes Ethereum valuable. Is people are in there and they have a sense of ownership, and they incorporate themselves into their ecosystems. So I'm not suggesting you launch a meme coin. I just was kind of using that as an example. But I think that if everyone kind of focused on what I can create, what we can create in Kaspa, it would get us light years ahead of jumping on Fred Krueger's timeline and harassing this guy to the point where he calls us mosquitoes. So anyway, that's the end of my point.
No, valid point. I think the resounding message there is very similar to what I believe I speak on, right? And that's, it starts from within. It starts from, what are you doing? How are you spreading it in your little echo chamber, your family, your people? And that's why I'm speaking up, and why it probably resonates, and why I'm connected to all you guys now. So I think that is the easiest way. That's the least path of resistance, is starting with yourself, and then how is it being used around you, and how are you educating people when it does come up organically and naturally around you? Because it just makes sense when somebody downloads a wallet, and again, in my family, my son, when he buys things, he sends me Caspa. Like, that happens. That's been happening for a year now. So I'm with you there, man. Appreciate you coming up and speaking. Buffalo, I see you have your hand up. Do you have something to chime in?
Yeah. Thanks. I really appreciate. Oh, sorry, just get the name right. Cast marketing. Okay. No, I really appreciate your point. I thought that was kind of funny, the Jehovah's Witness thing. Um, but just to clarify, if they come to your door and you tell them you don't want them to come back, they put you on a list and then they don't come back. Just to clarify, I know that's not your point, but I'm just clarifying. Um, so I think that in early adoption, uh, we need to be aggressive, and I think that's what we're doing. Of course, we're all human beings and we all have what we bring to the table. I think being aggressive is important to a certain extent, of just being like, hey, study casts are here, or like I'll post things, or I'll put things in a thread and be like, hey, and I'll direct them somewhere, be like, just check this out. But I think that the kind of guerrilla marketing that we are doing here on X is important, because I think this is a great platform for crypto. That's why everyone's here, or so many people are here. I don't see a lot of this on Facebook. I don't see a lot of this on Instagram. I don't see a lot of crypto. I mean, maybe the algorithm's off. I don't know, but um, I think it's important to be aggressive now and early to build this community. But I think the majority of us are doing it respectfully, unless we're probably dealing with maxis, because just the willful ignorance just breaks my brain sometimes. Um, you deserve Caspa when you buy it, I guess, or where you buy it. But I think that being aggressive now is important, but I also like the point that you made is like, hey, let's build on this. So we're talking to normies, we're talking to Bitcoin maxis. I think that the direction is correct. It's like, hey, let's get some people who build on Ethereum to come and build on Caspa, right? And to see how awesome this is, to see how much easier it is as soon as that bridge, because I think we have the bridge with the L2 now, right?
Yep.
I'm not sure, Juan. Do we have the bridge? I mean, with Casplex, do we? Because I know Eager is doing it with the with Ethereum, their bridge over to Caspa with their with being able to build on Caspa easily and be able to transfer that over. Is that correct, or do you know?
Yeah, I couldn't speak on that, but
Okay,
but
I know
I
Eager
saw
is doing it.
Burke put his thumbs up. So if anybody can chime
Oh,
in.
okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, the L2 is now up. The cat bridge is now up. You can migrate
Okay.
across the bridge.
Awesome. Also, Caspa Queen, how you doing? Sorry I couldn't meet up with you guys in Sacramento. It's just a little short notice, but I'm really stoked. So let me know in the future. I'll definitely head over.
Sounds awesome. And I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to answer about the
Oh no,
bridge
I appreciate it.
question.
I appreciate it. But yeah, I think that focusing on getting builders on Caspa is going to be kind of the next step. And because I think that we have enough group now, Binance knows us, Coinbase, like everybody fucking knows us. So it's like, okay, when that comes in, then I think it'll be on them to educate people. Cause I mean, I've seen it come up a little bit on Binance. But I think they'll like be like, oh, like an image of like the trilemma being solved, blah, blah. So they're going to want to they're going to want to have their bags and they're going to want to pump them. So they're going to educate these people when it gets spot listed, when it does. But having this guerrilla marketing now is really important. But I think we need to switch gears. I'm not saying everybody, but switch gears to try and get builders onto the onto the Caspa chain. So I think that's kind of the next step, and I think that'll eventually kind of be organic within the community to start talking to these people and reaching out, because I know the people who are developers are doing this. But it is a small snowball on a very high hill, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger with time.
I wanted to touch on Cass Mike's comments regarding using it, building. You did mention that you missed episode 1. I'm fortunate enough to have caught all 3 episodes. So in episode 1, both Juan and Kara, I don't know if it was a challenge or what, but talked about building dApps, using AI to build dApps. And I literally took that to heart, and I've been working on that since episode 1. And literally, the goal is to launch a token, and I'm doing the coding with Chat GPT. Is the one that I paid I used to use it for free, but I finally decided that I needed to pay for it. And this stuff's amazing, man. It's allowing me to, just so you know a little bit about myself, my background with coding. When I was in college back in the 90s, we took Pascal and Fortran. It's machine code. So that's and that was a long time ago. And so the tools we have available right now are going to enable anybody, any Joe in the community who has a desire to do so, to build some really cool stuff. And so, I think from the get-go to the show, I think Juan and Kara laid the groundwork, to try and inspire us, and they certainly inspired me. So, I want to thank them for that, because now, I'm doing stuff in Linux and a bunch of different code or programs that I don't even recognize, but the AI knows what they are and they know I need them, and they're helping me get me to where I need to be. So, uh, build on, guys.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for coming up, Cascat, and sharing that, man. You're an inspiration every time. I love listening to you speak, man. I love every single time you come up and talk. You were in that 3-day fast with me, right? Was that you?
Yeah, it was. Oh
Okay,
man,
okay.
check.
You know what? I didn't catch that it was you till just now, man. That was awesome, man. That was an experience. Sure to
So
learn more
get
about your
this.
fast.
We ended that fast. I don't know, 3 days. I started it the day after my 60th birthday. It was something that I had been wanting to do, and it just showed up. So it's like the universe brought it to me.
Same.
Literally, the first post I looked at on X the day after my 60th birthday was that. And so I thought, oh, this is the universe talking to me. And so after that fast, I'm still in ketosis. I have not eaten sugar, anything,
Wow.
and I'm losing weight like crazy.
That
It's
is
insane, man.
beautiful. That oh man, I mean, like you were inspiring in that a little 3-day fast that we had. It was the first time that I made it 3 days, and that third day was something. And I definitely, I not can't say the same as you, but no, man. Thank you first of all for coming up and sharing. And you were right. Kara talked about uh, the challenge, right, with us building something. And I'm dedicating my time to this community, so whether it's running this show with Kara and having conversations with people within the community, there's things coming that I'm going to be launching. I haven't thought of a meme coin, so I'm not particular to any of that. But thank you for coming up and sharing your journey and what you're doing. You're an inspiration, my man. So keep at it. Thank you for being on the show the last 3 weeks too, brother. Means a lot.
Oh man, well, thank you guys for putting this on every week. It's a great show, and I'll be here every week.
Love
Sign
it.
out. I'll be
Love it.
listening. Thank you
Love
guys.
it. Love it. Go ahead, Carol.
Thanks, Kat. I just wanted to reiterate for those who may have missed what the challenge is. I'm going to repeat the challenge just in case anyone here wants to get involved in helping Kaspa by developing on it. Even if you have no coding experience, I have good news for you. We have ChatGPT, we have AI, we have Grok, we have Gemini, we have Bard, you name it. We have Midjourney. We have all sorts of help. So I want to give everyone a challenge. Pick an AI program. I specifically recommend Grok, but use any of them and say, hey, how can I build a dApp on Kaspa using smart contracts? And put the prompt in and say, guide me step by step how to do this. And then tell me how long it'll take. Grok told me how I could build a decentralized marketplace using smart contracts in 1 hour. So I challenge everyone here to use AI and build something, anything you want, and then tell us what you build. That's the challenge.
I accept your challenge. You just have been
Awesome.
so inspirational. I love listening to you all, and it's funny that Jehovah's Witness was brought up because there was Jehovah's Witness at the airport this afternoon, and I was making the same connections between casts, and I was like, we're really pushing this, and I didn't really like the perspective it was going, but hearing you all talk about turning it into a creative outlet and prove it, like be the change you want to see in the world, and build and create and design and use cast, because that's the joy, is it can be the peer-to-peer money, and we can use it. It's quick, it's secure, it's like everything, it's decentralized, it's everything you need. And I've been thinking a lot about uh, just what I can do, and I've been using AI for sure because I don't have any coding background or what have you, but I've definitely been trying to see what I can do, and I've been writing up a business proposal, and so it's just so interesting to hear everybody, or inspiring to hear everybody, what everybody's building in Berlin. It was fabulous to hear like everything that was going on. But Kara, I can't wait for your book because it totally sounds like something I'd read to begin with, and just the fact it's about Cass, like I definitely looking forward to it. It will be a lot of fun. But thank you
Thank
for having
you.
me up, and thank you for all that you guys do for the community.
Thank you for that. And it's nice to finally meet you and have our voices touch like this. So that's
Yes,
awesome.
definitely.
I'm giving you a voice hug.
Hugs. I love hugs. And that was the best part in Berlin. Like everybody I met, it was like hugs. Like I felt like I knew everybody. We have such like a great community. It really, I know this was being discussed earlier, just like it's a different type of person. Like I feel like we're more interested in building each other up and making the entire ecosystem better than in like fighting and being mean to each other. What like we want to grow, we want to evolve. Um, so
Casper Queen, I have to ask, woman to woman, how does
yes,
it feel to be constantly mistaken for a man every time you type anything online?
yeah. Well, I just assume everybody's a queer woman, so I'm right there on their level.
I can't. It seems as if every single day or every other day, someone says that I'm just a dude pretending to be a woman. And I get that all the time. And I say to people, does this mean that women aren't allowed to have crypto? That we're
Right,
not allowed to be excited about crypto? Does this mean that we're not allowed to have any knowledge whatsoever about crypto because woman, right? And so
right.
it's so
But there
refreshing to
are so
me.
many accounts. Like there was account, because I always love to follow the women like that. I'm like I want to grow our little female community, and I was reading this person, it's obviously a guy, how they wrote and what the things that they said, but of course the pictures are all of them pretending to be, you know what I mean, some blonde, and I'm like, this is just like that. Like, I see why people question it, but at the same time, that's why I put my voice out there. It's like, you know what I mean, I am who I say I am, kind of thing. Like, there's no reason to hide. I want transparency. I feel like if we're going to be able to move forward, we need to come into the light, and crypto can't be sketchy. You know what I mean? Fiat finances, all that shit sketchy enough. You know what I mean? Like, we need to come above it. So
Natalie Brunell, she's a Bitcoiner, a maxi. She just came out with a book called Bitcoin is for Everyone. And I don't agree with that at all, but I
That's a
respect
misleading
it.
title.
I respect it, and I respect her, and I'm looking forward to reading that, even though I disagree with the title entirely. I have high respect for her and what she's bringing to the table. But yeah, I hear what you're saying about how this is basically for everyone. We all have access to this. It's for men, it's for women, it's for families, it's for children even. Children can use Kaspa.
oh
Children
my
have
gosh,
wallets these days.
I met the cutest nacho holder last night, and she was, or the youngest nacho holder, and it was just so fabulous to see the next generation, because yeah, that's they're amazing.
That's wonderful. Does anyone else on the stage have anything they'd like to share, or anything as a comment based on anything that Queen has said, or any? Oh, we have Buffalo. Go ahead, Buffalo.
Sorry, I'm like taking a lot of mic time tonight. I just wanted to share something. If anybody in Caspa hasn't watched the Plan K videos, I posted one of them on my page. It goes into the history of money. So it starts from like money all the way up to Caspa. And it's really, really fascinating. It's a 4-part series by Plan K. And he just kills it. And if you don't feel conviction, watch that stuff. It is so good. Definitely worth a watch or listen to if anybody hasn't watched it yet.
And worth watching again.
Yes, worth
I
watching
do have to
again.
say, it's just one of those ones that I really do enjoy. I love those Play K videos.
Yeah, no, they're great. So I posted, if anybody, I don't know how many people we have in here, or if anybody's kind of just listening or just trying to, like, you know, hear what hear what the Caspa community is like, but definitely check it out if you guys haven't. It's on YouTube, and you can click the link on my page.
Thank you so much. And yes, even though it might seem like there's just a small number of us here, I can tell you we get hundreds and hundreds of playbacks after the show is over on recording. So it will have a pretty good reach. And then I will be archiving this on my YouTube channel to even expand that reach further. So if you do share something here, it will go far beyond those of us in this room. And yeah, most of our listeners are actually not here, but they do want to hear what we have to say. So yeah, if you have something that you want out there, speak it.
I'm gonna second that Plan K video. That if you haven't seen it, it's a must watch within this Casper community, because he does one of the best jobs at breaking it down and what money is. So Buffalo, thank you for mentioning him. I don't know if Kara's familiar with him, but I brought it up to Kara earlier when we were talking before the show. So happy that you brought him up. It's great.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
guys,
I
wealth of
don't
information.
know. I just want to say there's often Bitcoiners that are mentioned. Do I know this Bitcoiner? Do I know that Bitcoiner? Almost always my answer is
It
no. I
is.
don't
Yeah, I'm so
know.
amazed by that. I'm like, wow, that you just block all that out. I love it.
I really don't, because I'm not influenced by Bitcoiners. I was a fan of Bitcoin before they were, and I wasn't influenced by them when I got into it. And now that I'm into Kaspa, I'm more interested in educating people about Kaspa than learning from Bitcoiners, because for me, I feel I've evolved from that.
Well, Plan K
That's just
is
me.
Plan K is a Kaspa. He was a former Bitcoin maxi who converted fully to Kaspa, and he talks about how Kaspa is the end game,
Woo!
and you would trust me if you haven't listened to it,
It's on like
Kara.
the history of money. It's definitely a more
It's
of a macro look
yes,
on finances.
a lot.
It's really worth watching.
Absolutely, Kara. And
Okay.
based on some of the things that we talked about, even offline, like you would, I think you would really enjoy it. So,
Send me a
um,
link.
I would send you, well, Juan, you're going to have to do it. I would send you the link or you can just look at my page. But I tried to send you a link after we had our discussion last on episode 2 about how you were having some issues with people pushing on you for your content. And it blocked me from speaking to you, which was I've never had on X.
That's
So I tried to send you a video. It was in relation to what we had talked about. And I was like, oh, Kara needs to see this because this is not, obviously she knows it's not only happening to her, but it's happening to to some pretty prominent figures. And I was like, oh, she'll appreciate this. And I sent it, and then it wouldn't go through, and it said something like, message not delivered. I tried it and it wouldn't work, and then it made me verify if I was a human being. And I was like, okay, is this a protocol just because I don't send? Yeah, it was like, you need to verify who you are. And I was like, what? It was just really weird.
that's not coming from me. I don't know why, but yeah, please send me a text or something. Hopefully it'll come through. That's ridiculous. I don't have any special hurdles for people to jump through to send me anything, so I don't understand where that's coming
Yeah,
from.
I yeah, I didn't think so either. It was just random because it was kind of lined up with what we were talking about. I'm like, why can't I send this to her? Like, what's going on?
Big brother, stop it. Big brother's always gotta have that control.
True
Okay,
story.
I just put the link in the chat to this episode.
sweet. Yeah, I think you beat
Just
me to it, Casper Queen. And I sent
because I
you.
have it saved.
You
It's
have it
on.
say okay.
I've
There we go.
saved the play. You got
I'm
to
like,
watch the whole
let me do
playlist,
this right
and
now.
there's other playlists.
Yeah, the first video, he has a 4-part series, and the first of it, it's called The Death of the Dollar. So I just messaged you, Kara, so you'll have it. But yeah, for everybody else as well.
It really got me like interested in learning about money and the history of money. This video I have seen so many times, and I
Same.
just keep getting more and more out of it. I guess I wasn't, you know what I mean, I wasn't like I didn't study finances or anything, so like I knew a little bit, but like it was definitely eye opening.
Wow.
So
No, I'm on the same boat, Casper. Same exact thing. I was a big fan. Not this is relevant, but I was a big fan of The Office when it first came out on Netflix, and I would always have The Office in the background while I was working because it's just familiar and it's one of my favorite shows of all time. I've probably seen every episode like 10 times. And Plan K for me last year, same thing. I listened to the 4-part series so many times. Like all that is so
love it.
ingrained in me, right? And it gets into your cells and your soul when you have the information repeated many times. So
Oh,
yeah, it's awesome.
I'm definitely with you on that one.
Absolutely.
I'm a repeat listener on so many things.
So Juan and Queen, both of you posted, and everyone except one person, everyone who's posted in this chat, with the exception of one person, shows up as probable spam. How crazy is that? We're hosting the show and we're
Really?
spamming our own show. I know. I know.
That's ridiculous.
I know. X has people flagged, which is ridiculous. I
That's
don't
wild.
understand.
You know what? I mean, I think it's something to kind of mention here because I do not go on these I don't go on anybody else's profile and do the shit talking, but I've noticed that I've been blocked by all these people, and I wonder if that plays into it. I'm just curious. I don't know if it does, but I feel like I've been blocked by people who I've never interacted with, and I wonder if that's what has that happen.
That's an interesting point.
You think maybe the algorithm is recognizing the strength of the community and kind of considering us spam because we're everywhere?
It's
I
possible.
suppose.
I think some people are reporting accounts because again, like we mentioned earlier, the whole like comparison to Jehovah Witness, but there is a lot of that. You know, we're a pretty passionate community, and it's a part of. I mean, it's all happening organically. That's the funny thing. That's why we have the Caspa bots accounts, and we're not bots. We're just super passionate people. But yeah, that's
We have
something
conviction.
we do.
We believe it's endgame.
Exactly. So I guess it comes off like it feels. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works.
They're
It's very.
jealous.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, they had. I mean, remember what happened to Caspa Fax? He's got his completely deleted. Like they blocked him and deleted him because a bunch of Bitcoiners or whoever got together and reported Caspa Fax, and he lost his channel or his channel. So he had to make up another one. I don't know if anybody. I'm sure you guys already know that, but maybe what the possibility is he got hit for spam or for being a bot, and then maybe the algorithm decided that the people he was following or people he was reacting with are on a watch list or whatever. I don't know, but I mean,
They got him for impersonation.
impersonating of a Caspa fact. I'm confused.
I know, but that's what X blocked him for. That was
That's
the explanation.
wild.
They blocked him for impersonating
Really?
Caspa. Had something to do with the logo, and the logo had to be signed off by the guy that made it. Who was it? Chad or who made the logo? I'm
Yeah, I
not sure,
believe
but
it was Chad.
It's Chad.
there was so apparently, according to X, Chad owns Caspa's logo. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know, but he got blocked for impersonation. And
That's
since he couldn't
wild.
prove that he wasn't Caspa, or I don't know, since he couldn't prove, it's weird. 'Cause how do you prove Cas?
That's
Like,
wild.
so that's how they got him. And so he was frustrated. He couldn't appeal it. And so he made the other account. And then no one believed it was him, not even me. So I put him through all these different steps to prove it was him. And I sent some Caspa to Backstock which is a KNS domain I had gifted him many months before he was banned. And he verified the amount, showed me his wallet, and sent it back to me, which verified it was him. And then I said, "Okay, you're Caspa Fax. You're good now." But before that, I had him going through the ringer. Are you really him? Are you really him? Prove it. Let's prove it with Caspa. So he's back, but he's having to deal with that craziness. And I think, like you said, I think he was targeted by people who were just tired of him. And to answer the question that was being asked, there's people asking, is this spam? Everyone who has responded in this chat, with the exception of Caspa Marketing, everyone else is hidden underneath probable spam. Everyone. We have 12 comments, which means 11 out of 12 people, or 11 out of 12 comments, are all considered spam.
Do they show up if you allow them if they request to speak and you give them the platform?
I certainly hope so. I would love to hear from people. I don't understand why they're listed as spam, though.
So when I'm looking at the chat, there are only like 2 or 3 people under spam. It's Mr. Ziku and Mayhem's Collectibles. Everyone else is appearing
Yeah,
in.
same for me. It's just, it really is spam. That looks like it's, someone wrote TTT.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just you, Kara, because mine's showing what their shows. I only have 2 people under spam.
Yeah, I can
Wow.
see. I don't have anybody under spam actually.
So you think we're all spam?
How do I fight that? Because I don't think you guys are spam. How do I fight those?
No,
It's just, it's being
maybe
mean.
people are reporting you. What's going on? What are you doing, Kara?
We're gonna
Yeah,
let
but it's
Onion
all of
talk.
us who are showing up as spam
Yeah,
to
Mhm.
her.
I know. I don't understand. Onion, welcome as a speaker. I know you have experience people calling you a spammer or getting on, doing the guerrilla warfare on everyone's timeline. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us your story, Onion.
Well, I was mainly just gonna let y'all know that most of everyone I can see in the Twitter thread, only like 2 people showed up as spam. So I guess maybe it's different, at least for me. So I guess that's good. But I guess to answer your question, wait, what was the original question? What's
So, Onion, everybody knows that you were the first one on the front line to go into a Bitcoiner's feed and just speak what you want to say. So, say what you say and why do you say it?
Alrighty, well, I'll give a little bit of a backstory. So I discovered Kaspa kind of like the way we all do. We all have our aha moment. Made a Twitter account, and I just started tweeting like my thoughts, and I kept it real professional. Like my account was super professional, and I had the whole mindset of this is just gonna be about Kaspa, and then blah 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 blah. Um, and then I went on like a Twitter Spaces for the first time, the one where it was like I had asked the question, like, oh, would you put $100,000 on a Lightning channel? That Twitter Space, I don't know if y'all remember, but
Duffel bag of cash?
yes, that one. Oh my
Oh,
God.
it's infamous.
Oh my God. Anyway, so I remember intentionally trying to be so polite because I can totally understand how if you're a Bitcoin maxi, hearing anything that's not Bitcoin, it's like against your religion. So I really wanted to be delicate with my Twitter and be nice and blah 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 blah. But I just found that no matter how nice I was, they just kept I got to the point where I was like, they're silencing me. They're not wanting to listen. They're name calling me. I have genuinely tried to be polite and try to talk about technicals. They throw slurs at me, which I don't care. I think it's funny. But the idea is like this is sound money. And like at first it's funny when they started to name call me, and it's not just me, it's all of us. All of us are getting treated the same. Um, I basically realized I'm like, they're just bullying us at this point. So I just was thinking about it. I'm like, all right, well, screw it. If they're bullying me, I'm gonna bully them back. So I just started just speaking my mind, no filter, no nothing. Probably I said a lot of things I probably shouldn't say. I'm probably very close to getting banned at any moment, but who cares? Um, but yeah, I just found that and I found it's very effective. Like it's like really it's not good because I get blocked a lot, but I guess my objective is I used to be very kind, cool, and collected through the tweets, but I realized if I reflect their same energy back to them, they react and they don't like it, and so I'm hoping to mirror themselves back to them, and they just block me, and I don't know. I'm trying to think of how I say this, but um, yeah, I think I'm just using my account as a way to just mirror themselves back to them, and then they don't like it, and then they just block me. So I don't know. Um, there's really no
Let me
more.
ask you something, Onion, because
Yeah.
I know that they're blocking you, but you also are being effective. And my understanding is you've actually reached a few people who have 200, 300,000 followers and they're DMing you now. And you're taking the time to write or say, record a number of recordings to teach them about Caspa. Are you tell us a little bit about the ones that aren't blocking you, the ones that you're getting through to. Are those moving forward, or what's going on with those?
Actually, yeah. There's so the big accounts. There's just a few instances where like a few big crypto accounts messaged me. I never knew who they were. Unfortunately, I sent them a bunch of voice memos, just like, hey, this is what Caspa's about. This is what it is. Blah 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 blah. I haven't really gotten a response, so I've kind of just moved on. But there's actually a few Bitcoin accounts that I'm like in a weird way I interact with. I think I'm having some success with like 2 specific Bitcoin accounts right now. They're smaller, but they got like each 10K followers. They always engage with the Caspa stuff. So um I don't know. I guess we're all loud and we're all annoying as hell. We're all the Jehovah's Witnesses that are. So I don't really have like any. I don't know if I'm actually effective or not, but I just know that there's a lot of Bitcoin accounts on my timeline. They do not stop talking about Kaspa. even if they're taking a dump on it. So I think that's progress, you know? So
I want to also mention you had said that in addition to the fact that on X, a lot of Bitcoiners won't talk about Caspa, you had experience on YouTube where people had a different attitude. And also, you had said something about instead of focusing on Bitcoiners, to focus on people who are into crypto. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came up to those conclusions?
oh yeah, yeah. Let me think about this. Oh yeah, so with YouTube, I had made a few YouTube videos just trying to like make video format stuff about Caspa packaged in a way for like the Bitcoin maxi. Um, and I noticed a lot of comments. There were the usual Bitcoin maxi comments, but I just noticed there were more curious Bitcoiners in my comment section. They were genuinely asking about Caspa. They're like, "Hey, I've been in Bitcoin. Like, what? This is all new to me. Hearing about Caspa." They're like, "Where can I learn more? Where can I buy Caspa?" So that was maybe 10% of the, maybe 15% of the comments, which I've never seen. Like on Twitter, I've pretty much 99% of the time I interact with a Bitcoiner, it's either I'm made fun of, mocked, silenced, or blocked. So I just found on YouTube it's like a 15% success rate, which I thought was amazing. Like that's um like maybe YouTube's more of a like a maybe toxic, or maybe Twitter maybe attracts, I don't want to say the wrong people, but maybe
Oh, Twitter is toxic.
yeah.
Just admit it.
Mhm. Exactly, and I'm not helping either. I've but yeah, um so yeah, that's really that. And as far as that goes, I hope that answers the question.
So, Onion, tell us what causes chronic knee pain.
Bro, my back is hurting. Come on.
Well, why don't you tell us? Fuck. Yeah, I got some crazy tweets, man. I don't know why I tweet half the stuff I say. Should I say the tweet? I guess in this call, is that cool?
Tell everybody.
All right, so some Bitcoiner they posted like some chart, or at least if I remember correctly, they posted something about Caspa trying to like talk some shit. And clearly like they weren't using their heads. So I just said something along the lines of like new study shows a new study shows that the average Caspa holder has chronic knee pain, and it's because I think I said because our balls are so heavy from holding the hardest money on the planet. So so I don't know. That's what I spend my free time doing.
I was wondering why my balls felt so heavy today. I was wondering. That's what's causing my knee pain.
That's what it is, Kara. 100%.
You got a bag of Caspa right there.
I love that. And see, Onion, that's why I like that you're on the front lines because you bring humor to this. And I think humor is a really good way to dissolve a lot of the backbiting and the fire. And sure, you can bring the fire, but I love that you bring the humor. And I think that's one reason why people flock to you and love your posts because you just come at it with these irreverent responses, and I love it. I think it's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That means a
they're
lot. That
really
means a lot.
funny. You do definitely bring humor into it, which creates more of a positive feeling. I feel like.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot. That means a lot. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Yeah, and Onion, I mean, you were one of the most polite people at the beginning, and it's I mean, you were one of the first people I reached out to on Twitter, and I remember you were just game to. I go, no, we need to set up our own spaces. We need to talk, and because you were so nice. So I know you a lot of times you question what you do, but I mean, getting the feedback that you're getting here from all of us, and I'll reiterate it 100%. You do you, and I do think that it's important that people are themselves, and this is a part of the adoption process. It's being mocked and doubted and propaganda. There's just that there's so much propaganda out there, and we like Kara just said, we need people on the front lines,
Oh,
and we need people on the front lines, and you're one of those people. And I love your tweets and how funny you are. I think it's absolutely necessary. So don't question what you do, um, especially when you're getting it right back in return, man. So
hell yeah. I love y'all. Thank you so much. That's like very,
absolutely, man.
very kind of y'all. And y'all are on the front lines too. We all are. We all have our unique perspectives and everything. And I think that's what makes this community so freaking awesome is we're not all just doing the same thing. Oh, number go up, number go up. When is the 21 million? Like all of us are so we all have our own like I don't know how to put it, but like yeah, we're all like very gifted. We all have come to this conclusion through whatever life has brought us, and we're spreading it in the way that we think is best. And I think it's working. All of us are doing great. So I think we just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah, we all have our personalities, and we're all not retarded, so that really helps.
Oh yeah, exactly, exactly. That helps a lot. So yeah, I will say, this is just a fun fact. This is just a little pro Caspa tip if y'all want it. The quickest way I've noticed a 100% success rate on how to instantly get blocked. It works on every Bitcoin account. I've only done this like 3 times, and every time I've done it, I always get blocked. Um, if you screen record, like find a Bitcoin Twitter account and and you screen record and you filter their tweets by price. You type the word price and you screen record scrolling through the timeline and you just tweet at them and you say all you know how to talk about is price and you show them the screen recording of their entire posts they've ever posted and it just has the word price, 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 price. 100% of the time I've done that, I've gotten blocked. So for some reason, it really upsets them when you say all you know how to talk about is price. So I don't know, but pro tip.
That's
Yeah, I'll put that in my ammo bag.
yeah, I don't know if I want to get blocked, but I guess if I want to, that's a good way to do it.
There you go. Anyways, I'm gonna hop off. Thanks for having me join. I appreciate it. Y'all are awesome. This is always a great space. This is freaking awesome. So keep it up, y'all. This is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Onion, and thank you so much to our
Thanks, man.
different speakers tonight. We're going to be winding down in a few minutes here. I do want to say if people are enjoying our show, whether here or on Vivor, and you want to support us, you can send us Caspa to beneaththesurface.cast, and it will be split 50-50 between Juan and I, and will actually also help go towards the transaction fee that actually we pay to be on Vivor. So anything helps us out here. And we also want to reach out and give a shout out to Crumpet Media, which we're a part of, as well as Blockchain Banter, our other co-host, Lavendi Pro and Chris, who you can listen to on Monday afternoons. We're going to continue doing this Wednesday evenings. We're having a lot of fun doing this. And if there are things that you're developing, if you take that challenge and you create a dApp, let us know. Send Juan or me, either one of us, send us a little summary of what you're doing, and then we can schedule a time for you to be on the show so that we can talk about what you've built and what's going on with that. And in the future, we will be talking about Crumpet Media, which is a decentralized publication using crumbs, and we will be talking about that very soon. I want to wait until I fully have read the white paper, so I'm not going to get too deep into it right now, but it is something I'm excited about because I think having any kind of decentralized anything is usually a good thing, and a decentralized publication where people can vote on it using crumbs is a good way to get news out and get information out. So we will be talking about that in the future. Um, Juan, do you want to give us one of your tags?
I'll end it with that, but I wanted to mention something really quick before we do end it, and that's I see him in the space. It's Bishop. I had a great conversation with him today, and there's a lot of synchronicity, so much happening here. I'm excited to be hosting the show with you, Kara. It's brought out this side of me that I haven't, I've shared before. I've kind of been in my little bubble. I built my businesses online, like not interacting with people most of the time, especially over the past 7 years. So this is, you guys are my community, you're my people. And I'm still trying to figure out, hey, how can I continue to contribute? And in talking to Bishop earlier, and he just reached out to me. We recorded a podcast that unfortunately didn't get completely recorded, and we couldn't put it out. But we learned that it was really a conversation for us too, and we've developed a brotherhood, and there's just I get just as much from sharing that I do from hearing how whatever it is that I bring up impacts people. And he was kind enough to really send me one of the best voice notes that I've ever received. It brought me to tears, literally brought me to tears, because I'm like, wow, I've been told by people that really know me that I should be doing this, and he really brought that to light. So I am answering the call. I am here to serve, and I will be launching some things in terms of maybe groups or people that want to work with me. um, I'm not setting a price on any of this or anything like that. That's not the intention here. The intention here is really to bring out the best in people, and I really do see myself as a mirror to everyone. Um, and there's an opportunity here to continue to build. So if you're interested in any of that, I'm going to be working with Bishop. Feel free to DM me, and we can chat. We can talk it up, see if we're a good fit for each other. So I wanted to mention that. Um, these spaces have been awesome. Thank you, Kara. You're great. Can't wait to continue running this. We're just getting things rolling. I thought this show was fire. Thank you all the speakers that came up and chimed in, gave us your input. That's what all of this is about, right? So remember, it's one conversation at a time. Be humble, be kind. Caspa is vibrating at the frequency of truth seekers. Blockchain Banter, flowing beneath the surface of blockchain where Kaspa carries the current of truth. Have a beautiful night. Love you all.
Good night.
Good night, guys. Thank you.